Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee. I talk about books on this channel, mainly books about magic, and if you want to see more of that, you can subscribe down below. Welcome or welcome back, and it is time for me to do my January 2025 TBR, and we're about to go on a journey. Hello everyone and welcome to the first TBR of 2025. I'm really excited for this today, but we went on a journey, so you're gonna have to buckle in. We have a TBR for TBRathon, which is hosted by Leandra over at Leandra the TBR Zero, so I will have her link down below. And we also have my TBR game where I roll and fill in a bingo board using a D20. So we will be doing both of those today. TBRathon is all about reading down your TBR, whether that's your physical TBR, your ongoing list of books that you want to read in your lifetime, your Kindle TBR, whatever it is works for you. I'm focused on my physical TBR, so I tried to choose as many of my physical TBR books as possible for these prompts, but let's jump into it and you'll see how this went for me. So we are going to start out with my TBRathon TBR, and for this I did end up playing the Paws and Bookshelves game board. I was thinking about rolling as I went along, but knowing what I know now, I am glad I just rolled ahead of time. So we are going to start with this, and I'm going to show you the footage of me rolling right now. And this is my little game piece. I have named him Jasper since he is a piece of Dalmatian Jasper with eyes and glasses. And our first roll is a 1. Oh dear. So I did end up using a D8 for this process, hoping that an 8-sided die would get me through the board faster than a 6-sided die. And this first roll did not work out that way, considering I got a 1 and ended up landing on Avoided Author. However, I did end up choosing A Natural History of Dragons for this prompt by Marie Brennan. This is the first book in the Lady Trent series, and I have been avoiding this, not for any particular reason, but I have not prioritized this read, and that is going to change this month because I'm going to be buddy reading this with Leandra and Kristen from Books and Jams, and I'm very, very excited to do so. I'm excited to take this author off of my TBR list and put her on my red list. This is the Memoirs of Lady Trent series, which is about Lady Trent, who is interested in studying dragons, but this is sort of a historical fantasy, and I believe Lady Trent is expected to be a homemaker, a lady of the house, and not do sciencey dragon exploring things. So I'm excited to try this. I've had the audiobook for literal years, and I am so excited to finally have a physical copy. One of my friends sent me this for the holidays, and I am so appreciative of that because I already knew we were going to be buddy reading this, and I've talked about a couple of times that I've realized that I might need a physical book alongside an audiobook more often than I thought I did, so I was excited to be able to tandem read this in January. Then we rolled again and got a much nicer number in 6, and then I did have to move 1 space because I forgot to after my first roll, and then we move our 6 spaces. Now, fortunately, my next number was a bit larger, and we did get a 6 and land on debut book, or debut author? Debut. And for this, I'm choosing God Killer by Hannah Kanner. Now, this is a reread for me, but I am really excited to reread and annotate this book. I have been wanting to do this. I did start last year. You can see that one singular tab here, but this is one of my favorite books. I loved God Killer in 2023. It made my top book of the year, and I did love Sunbringer in 2024. I'm looking forward to rereading this series, which is about Kissin, who is a god killer. She ends up discovering a young girl who is attached to a god, and she goes on a journey meeting some people along the way in order to try and separate them so that they can destroy the god attached to the child. And I love this series. I'm so excited for Faithbreaker, which is the 3rd and final book that's coming out later in 2025. Just so excited for it. But this is a debut author, even though I'm rereading it. I don't know if that was the intention of this prompt, but I wanted to take an opportunity to put this on the TBR since I'm planning on using this book to carry me into 2025. I'm planning on spending the 31st and the 1st reading this book and annotating it and kind of just enjoying my time with it and setting off my 2025 with a just favorite read. Now, even though my next roll was a large number, we did unfortunately land on the lookout below and go back down and land on a avoided author. Now, I am going to take Leandra's lead here and not repeat prompts. So I rolled again and ended up landing on a book that was less than 300 pages. This kind of worked out because I forgot to include the prompt for the Gathering the Yorkie as I went past. And since I landed on it, it reminded me for the rest of the game. I will only take that consolation the first time I went around this prompt.
This is foreshadowing, friends.
Anyway, we landed on less than 300 pages, and for this, I've chosen Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna McGuire. This is the 7th book in the Wayward Children series, I believe, and I am excited. This is a portal fantasy novella series in which we follow a school of children who have gone through portals and then come back. We have different explorations of different characters and different groups as we go along in this series, and I have loved a lot of them. The 6th book wasn't my favorite, so I am excited to jump in with this one and continue on reading the series. Now, after looking at the dice and the game board, I believe I miscounted on this prompt and landed on 5-star prediction when I should have landed on lookout below. But don't worry, the dice corrected this for me. So stay tuned to find out how. But we did land on 5-star prediction, and I decided to use A Natural History of Dragons again for this because I really think out of everything I have on my priority TBR this month, this is the book that I will give 5 stars because I am so excited for this, so ready to read it, and have heard such amazing things about it.
See, I told you the game would correct things for us.
Hello everybody. So there was a little bit of confusion in my notes and I have to jump in here and try to correct what happened. So basically I landed on TBR backlist here and I did not take the ladder. Now tell me why. I know why. I thought that I couldn't possibly land on Tumble Down again and that I really wanted to try to collect all the dogs. So I decided to push forward and do the TBR backlist and then continue on with the board. So for this, I am choosing Storm of Locust by Rebecca Roanhorse. This was on my December TBR and I didn't get around to it. So I'm hoping to do so in January. I have started the audiobook, so this is a bit of a carryover, but I'll probably restart and jump back in because I was very intrigued. It was kind of like a soft DNF in the middle of December, so we'll pick this back up in January. It's the 2nd book in the Trail of Lightning or 6th World series by Rebecca Roanhorse, and I'm excited to continue on with this. So I had to add in this prompt in order to tell you what happened because after this I rolled a 2, landed on 5-star prediction. Wasn't going to do that prompt again because we had already done it. Rolled again but got a 1 and landed on Lookout Below for the 3rd time? Many times. And went down to Avoided Author. Since we had already done that prompt, I rolled again and landed on Odd Pages. And now we should be back on track with Past Julie and You Shouldn't Have to See Me Again. We'll see, but that's where the confusion came in because I ended up going back around one more time and got confused with my notes. And then I rolled a 1 a second time and landed on odd number of pages. And this was much more difficult to find than I thought it would be. And I ended up choosing the Village Library Demon Hunting Society by C.M. Wagoner. This is one that I want to read in January alongside Danny and Leandra's podcast, Not Reading for Content. I had a really good time reading The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands in December, so I want to try to read their book again this month, and I am really excited for it. And it was an odd number of pages, which was great to discover because everything else I was looking at was even. However, this is one that I don't know a ton about. I don't know that I've even read the synopsis. I'm interested in C.M. Wagoner as an author because I have 2 of their books on my bookshelves already that I haven't read, so this will be my first experience with this author, and it's a genre blend, so I expect to enjoy it, but we shall see. I'm back again, so I wanted to tell you that this time I did decide to take the latter, and therefore I did combine the prompts of TBR backlist and mood read, even though I had already done TBR backlist. But since I didn't have that very clear in my notes, I didn't realize that when I did this latter, and also I needed to get out of this never-ending cycle. So we took the latter, combined the prompts, and moved on. Then for this roll, I had to combine TBR backlist and mood read in order to go up the ladder. So I am choosing Where the Drowned Girls Go once again. I'm trying to combine these as much as possible because I was doing 2 TBRs as well as playing this game board and then seeing how many rolls I had to do. I got really nervous about the number of books I would have to read. So I combined this. This seems like, from the cover and the description and what I know about the world that we're going to be going into, this seems like a wintry mood read for me, and it was also on my TBR for about a year now, so I am excited to read this.
And then we tumbled again.
And then for roll 8, we rolled an 8. And for this, I ended up landing on Timber and falling down the bookshelves once again. I was so excited that my 8-sided die got me so close to the end until I realized that I landed on the book stack. But we fell down and landed on lowest rated. And for my priority TBR, the one that is lowest rated right now is the Village Library's Demon Hunting Society. So I am interested to see why opinions on this are so low, but I am also optimistic that I will like it. So we shall see. Then, since we did end up going backwards and back past another dog, I decided to try and combine the Dalmatian prompt along with the prompt that I landed on, which was Any Book of Paradise prompt, which is another game board within the TBRathon readathon, as well as hyped books. So I tried to combine these 2 prompts into one and ended up choosing Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater, which combines the Snowy Mountains prompt, which is a read you have been anticipating with some time, and the Dalmatian prompt of hyped book. Now, this book is hyped to me. I honestly do not know what the general feelings about this series or this book are, but because I love the Raven cycle so much and this is the subsequent trilogy, this is very hyped in my mind, and I have been anticipating reading it for a long time. So these 2 prompts really ended up working well together for me and getting me to put Call Down the Hawk on this TBR. And if you're wondering what this is about, me too. I know it is about one of the characters from the Raven cycle and sort of where we've left him at the end of the Raven cycle, but I don't want to tell you too much more than that. And honestly, I don't know much more than that. So I am interested to go into this series, and I'm sort of going in mostly blind, so we shall see if I enjoy it as well. Then we once again rolled a 1 and landed on the Dachshund prompt of have a D-O-G in the title. And for this, I'm going with God Killer by Hannah Canner, since dog is literally backwards in this title. Then we got an 8, which was really exciting at this point. Morale was low after rolling another 1. There was fear that I was going to land on Timber again, but we avoided that. And I landed on 2025 goal. And then I wanted to combine this with the space before to catch the lab prompt. So for this one, I am going to choose Half Off Ragnarok by Sean McGuire, which is the 3rd book in her Encrypted series, which I am buddy reading with a friend, and I promised them that we would continue on in January since I have sort of abandoned our buddy read of the series. So I'm really excited to get back to this and jump into the series again. And we have a different protagonist in this series since we're following a family of cryptid hunters through modern day times as they sort of battle to keep cryptids alive. They're sort of the protectors of cryptids within the world, and we switch narrators within the family every few books. So I'm excited to jump back in and see where we go in the rest of the series. My fave trope here is a bit of a stretch, but I'm saying Sean McGuire's urban fantasy heroes. They are all sort of the same blend of characteristics and really fun times, and I just really love the way that Shauna McGuire builds her urban fantasy series. So I'm just going to say this entire series is a trope that I like. It might be a little bit of a stretch, but we are 11 rolls in at this point, so I am giving myself a little bit of grace. Then with the roll of a 6, I did reach the finish line, and there is not a prompt at the end of the game board, but since the only dog that I missed on the whole board is the Pity, I decided to make the finish line a genre blend prompt. And for this, I'm choosing Babel by R.F. Kuang, which is a historical mystery. No, it is a historical fantasy, and one I have been meaning to read for a long time. And since dark academia kind of screams winter and January to me, I wanted to try to fit this on my TBR at some point, and it is quite large. So we'll see if I get to this one, but I'm excited to try and put it on here. This follows a young orphan boy, Robin, who is taken from his homeland of China to Oxford in order to help a professor in this sort of study of languages, as my understanding. And I believe this has commentary on empire and the British Empire specifically. I've been meaning to read this for a long time, and I am excited to jump into and try it in January. All right, so we are 1 TBR game down, and I am combining and merging prompts as much as possible. And you may be asking, Julie, is there any limit to how many prompts you're going to combine or put one book to in there? No. Especially after that game, no. We're gonna double and triple up as much as possible. So let's jump into my TBR game. How this works is that I roll a 6-sided die to determine how many squares we're going to put on this board, and I actually, since I had played this after playing TBRathon, I minimized this down from a 6-sided die to a 4-sided die just to kind of give myself a little bit of wiggle room in the game for January, because I do not want to overwhelm myself. I don't want to create a whole list of books that I am not going to end up reading. So since I had a lot of prompts for TBRathon, I went from a 6-sided die to a 4-sided die, hoping that the max I would get was 4x4. Then once we know how big the board is, we roll a d20 to get the prompts to fit in the board. So prompts 1 to 5, just like in D&D, low numbers are bad. Prompts 1 to 5 are challenge prompts, or as I say on the back of the cards, hard prompts, in which these are things that I wouldn't do on my own, ones that I want to challenge myself to do, or not quite punishments, but they are things that I don't necessarily want to do. Then we have the basic prompts, which are numbers 6 to 15, and these are ones that are included in my goals and challenges, as well as ones that I would probably do on my own, but are just helping me focus. And then numbers 16 to 20 are reward prompts, ones that I would love to do, always want to include, that are, you know, ones, like I said, rewards for getting through the rest of the board, etc., etc. These are a mix of reading prompts as well as some lifestyle prompts and challenges, both in my reading life and my personal life. So let's jump into it.
So to continue the trend, we rolled a 1, and in this game, if you roll a 1 on the bingo board size, you have to roll again and then add them together. So luckily, I did not end up with a 4 and get a 5x5. Instead, we got a 2 and ended up with a 3x3, which is basically ideal to me right now.
First up, as you saw, was a big book, a book over 500 pages, and for this I have chosen Babel by R.F. Kuang. Since I just described this to you, I'm not going to go through it again, but know that this is a large book and now it is on both TBRs. Double priority here.
And we don't have sound because I was playing a video during the recording of this and I forgot to turn it off, so we don't have the roll sounds. Sorry!
Our next prompt was a romance, and this one I'm actually going to leave blank. I haven't had a lot of romance luck recently and I haven't felt like reading it very much, so I'm kind of leaving this up to me in the moment. If I get something that comes in on Libby, or if I'm feeling like picking up one of the romances that are currently on my shelf, I will do it, but I want to leave this open to a mood read for me at some point in the month if I feel like it. If not, this might not be a bingo for me. Next up is Dust My Bookshelf, and I'm actually going to combine this with one of my yearly goals for the year, in which I talked about that I want to reorganize the individual bookshelves that are in my bedroom. So I have this set of bookcases and then I have 3 individual shelves across the room. So I'm going to combine Dust My Bookshelf with working on and hopefully completing the reorganization of one of my bookshelves in January. Then we have new journal stickers, and this is usually to purchase new journal stickers, but I actually received a number of these for Christmas, so I'm actually just going to put this in to utilize my new journal stickers in my journal spreads during January. Next up, we have to unhaul one book, and this is actually a little bit of a challenge because I just did a pretty big unhaul at the end of December, and I've posted all of those books on Pango, so I don't even have anything here that kind of got missed in that video and, you know, hasn't been posted on Pango yet. I just cleared a lot out, so in January, unhauling one book might be a bit harder than usual. Next up, we have favorite author, and for this I'm choosing Called on the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater, another repeat because I love Maggie Stiefvater. She's definitely one of my favorite authors that are hit and miss depending on the series, but I'm hoping that this series will continue to make her a favorite author. I'm putting so many hopes on this series, but really hoping that I love this. Next up, we have Mood Read, and for this, I'm putting Truth Witch by Susan Dennard in this spot. I have been wanting to reread Truth Witch and the subsequent books for months now. It has just been something that is just sticking in my brain that I want to do. So I'm putting this on here in hopes that I have room to mood read it. If not Truth Witch, I need to get to The Whispering Night by Susan Dennard. There has to be a Susan Dennard book on my TBR in January. I want to read some of her books. And Truth Witch would be a reread, and Whispering Night would be one that I end up finishing a series. So either one of these would work, but I'm just in the mood for some Suze. Then since we got reread, I am going to double up Truth Witch in this spot and hope that I get to it. More motivation to make Truth Witch happen. Then the last prompt was to post 2 reviews, and hopefully I'm gonna kind of add to this challenge in one being a video review, because that is a challenge of mine through 2025 to post 1 video review on this channel each month. So that's part of this challenge. And then also I want to try to read Tiger Queen by Allison somebody. I will have the cover here. This is one of the oldest NetGalley books that I have, so I want to give this a try and hopefully review it for NetGalley, because I want to work on my ARC situation in 2025 as well. So that is the end of my very ambitious, but within my priority TBR. I mean, I did not go very far outside of that priority list, so I'm very happy with that. I did end up having to roll quite a number of times for TBRathon, but I think it's going to be okay since I doubled up quite a bit. But if you have any thoughts or feelings about any of the books I talked about today, please let me know down below. If you aren't feeling chatty, just leave me a dice since I had to roll so many times in this video. Like I said, please check out TBRathon, which is hosted by Leandra. I will have the announcement video linked down below for you to check out. But that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!